Hello Gemini, welcome to my channel. It is an absolute pleasure and such a blessing to be here with you. So thank you for being here with me for your November 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, you will find links to all sorts of goodies, including my social media, information on personal readings, and information on donations if you would like to explore those options. There will also be a timestamp in the description box if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so take only what resonates with you and leave the rest. Please do not make it your story if it isn't. I'd also like to encourage you, if you would like deeper insights to your month, to check out your Sun, Moon, and Rising Tarotscopes. So November is a universal 9-month, which prepares us for all kinds of endings. It is also symbolic of sacrifice and service. So we're being called to bring light and joy to those who need it the most. Overall, the month is pretty positive, but there are things coming to an end which can cause sadness, and we're asked to keep in mind that where one door closes, another opens. So we are going to be looking at, for your Tarotscope this month, the overall energy, what you are sacrificing, how you can be of service, and getting some advice that will best support and serve you moving forward. So let's jump in, Gemini, and see what November is bringing for you. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us about the overall energy of November 2023 for Gemini, please. Okay, thank you. Tell us, please, all right. Tell us, please, how can Gemini be of service? Tell us, please, how can Gemini be of service this month? That is too many. We're going to put those back. There it is. Thank you. And what advice will best support and serve Gemini moving forward, please? What advice will best support and serve Gemini moving forward? Okay, thank you. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy of November 2023 for Gemini. What does Gemini need to know, please? Tell us more. Okay, thank you. Tell us more, please, about what Gemini is sacrificing. Thank you. Tell us more, please. How can Gemini be of service? Thank you. Tell us more, please. What advice? Okay, thank you. What else do we need to know, please, about the overall energy of November 2023? Thank you. Tell us more, please, about what Gemini is sacrificing. Thank you. Tell us more, please. How can Gemini be of service? Okay, thank you. Tell us more, please. What advice? Okay. And anything we need to know or may have missed about the overall energy of November 2023 for Gemini. Nice, clear message, please. Well, that didn't really work, did it? Nice, clear message, please. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. Tell us anything we need to know or may have missed about what Gemini is sacrificing in there, right there. Thank you. Tell us more, please. Oh, good golly, what is up with this? Tell us more, please. How can Gemini be of service? Anything we need to know or may have missed? Anything we need to know or may have missed, please, for how Gemini, okay, thank you. Anything we need to know or may have missed in regards to the advice that will best support and serve Gemini moving forward. You guys, I'm sorry. These are kind of sticking together, so I do apologize. Too many cards. Nice, clear message. What advice will best support and serve Gemini moving forward? Anything we need to know? Oh my gosh. Or may have missed. Anything we need to know. I don't know why these cards are like this. Like, I really haven't had that big of a problem with them. There it is. Thank you. Oh no. I feel like, for whatever reason, maybe some of y'all have been asking for a lot of advice. Let's take a look at your overall energy of, or rather for November. You do have here, Gemini, deep cellular healing, Arcturus energy, physical and emotional healing. It does feel to me, Gemini, that the overall energy of the month for you is, I feel, to bring some sense of unity within. And here's the thing, this message has been coming up in the other signs as well. So it's quite fascinating. I feel like the reason why this keeps appearing, and is likely true in your case as well, is because the more unified we are within with our soul's true essence, the more unified we are with our truth, the more unified we are with our most authentic self, the how do I say, the more we can be of service to others, the more we can impact the world around us, the happier and more fulfilled we ourselves will be. But it does feel to me like the overall energy that's coming through for you is this deep healing. So you may have a lot of deep-seated or deep-rooted things coming up. These could potentially be things from your childhood, or maybe even past lives, if that's something that you believe in. I really feel as though this energy of sacrifice is coming through. Like, I'm feeling called to really to mention that, because I feel like oftentimes we see sacrifice as, you know, something that seems to be grandiose, right? Or giving away physical things, or, you know, perhaps we see sacrifice as giving up our lives. But I feel as though oftentimes it's less than that, right? That's not to say that some of us aren't put in those kinds of situations, but I feel as though, you know, in this case, it's more about sacrificing things that we've been holding on to, bits of ourselves that perhaps aren't serving us. And whatever this is for you, it feels like it runs deep. The roots run deep. It's likely that you are aware of this to some degree. You may not be aware of how this is impacting you as you move forward. How do I say this? It may not be for some super obvious how carrying this impacts your life on a day-to-day basis, but you may be aware of the weight of whatever it is that's being brought forward to be healed. For some of you, I feel as though some of this energy, which I just have to say, like, I'm not a doctor, I cannot and do not give medical advice, but I feel like for some of you, the energy that you've been carrying has manifested in your body as physical symptoms, as some sort of physical illness or dis-ease. And I feel that that's another reason why this is being brought to your attention, why this is coming to the surface, because I feel as though it's not only impacting you on an energetic level, it's not only impacting you on an emotional level or a mental level, but it is also impacting you physically. And I feel like the encouragement here is for you to liberate yourself from those things through healing. But the only way that you can heal this is by facing it, by dealing with it, by feeling it. You know, there's that saying, like, the only way out is through. And I feel like this applies tremendously to whatever's coming up for you to be healed. 10:10 on the clock just a moment ago. Tens are numbers of completion, the end of a cycle, renewal, moving forward, things coming full circle. And I do feel like this is the energy that's coming through for you. It feels like there's this energy of want again. I mean, 9 is about preparing for endings. And I feel as though, you know, Spirit is bringing these things forward in order for you to move on from them, in order for you to release them, in order for you to, you know, close out that cycle, for things to come full circle, for you to leave it behind. You have here the Chariot. Yeah, I mean, this is really an energy of moving forward. That's what I picked up on right away, is just moving forward, moving away from whatever this is. And when I lay this card down, those the horses and the character are moving more towards the right, which is toward the future. Okay, so it does feel to me as though there is this energy coming through again with the Chariot of moving on, moving away from the past, moving towards the future. It does feel to me as though in order to perpetuate this healing, there is going to, how would I say, there's going to have to be some kind of discipline or will from you, right? You kind of have to meet the universe halfway, if you will. You have to be willing to put in the effort to address the things, to make moves as you feel called to do so, to release fear or face fear as you feel called to do so. I feel for some of you, how do I say, the Chariot is bringing forth this energy of needing to focus on your own healing. Perhaps you have spent some time giving energy to external situations or other people, and it does feel like there's this kind of, I'm actually seeing it almost like the bat signal, which is weird. Maybe that's important for someone. Maybe you have a strong connection to Batman or something. But I'm actually kind of seeing it as like almost like the bat signal, like, you know, where it's out and they shine it into the sky so that Batman can come and help other people. It feels as though that needs to be turned inward, right? As though there's a need to focus more on yourself, more on your own healing. I do feel like there is an opportunity for you to triumph over these things, or to actually really integrate some healing. But again, it is going to take that discipline. It is going to take that focus, and it is going to take your willingness to move forward, to surrender to what needs to unfold for you. You have the Six of Pentacles here in the reverse. So how do I say this? Even though the six is a number of growth and healing and harmony, or it can be. Also, it's a number of, you know, alignment or adjustment. I feel as though with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, this is an energy of like strings attached, or power and domination. And I feel like there are wounds that you have, or pain, trauma that you are carrying, which is essentially kind of being that puppet master. That's how I'm seeing this. That's how I'm picking up on this intuitively. It does feel as though there's this energy of like giving away your power to something. Okay. Again, maybe you don't even really recognize exactly what this is, but I feel as though there's this desire to really look at where you may be doing that, you know, dive deep, go within, take the time, you know, give that opportunity to yourself to go within, to look and see what may have power, or what may be dominating over you. again, this isn't always obvious, which is why it takes that discipline, which is why it takes that focus, which is why it takes that attention, right? The will, because it isn't always easy to see. It isn't always obvious. And sometimes we have to dive a little deeper. We have to dig a little deeper. We have to focus a little more. We have to surrender a little bit more. We have to be willing to see whatever is being shown to us in order for us to really grasp what it is and start moving on it. Okay, I just saw 1515 on the timer, and the 15, or the number 15, pardon me, in the tarot is the number of the devil card. And the devil is very much about, those things that have power over you, lower egoic drives, right? Those, oftentimes I see the devil as kind of like our ego, but our lower ego, right? So this plays into a lot of those lower types of energies, like fear, like things that dominate us and have power over us. A lot of times the devil is connected with things like materialism, addiction, hedonism, right? These sorts of things. And I feel as though, oh yes, and enslavement, thank you. So I feel as though these things do have some kind of hold over you, and only we can set ourselves free. Sometimes it takes a tower moment for us to realize how much these things are impacting our lives, which was brought to my attention because when I looked up a moment ago, it was 1616 on the timer, and 16 in the tarot is the tower, right? So if we can't see these things for ourselves and we choose to resist what is being shown to us with that devil energy, universe, spirit, source, God, whatever you call it, will bring in a tower moment to try to get your attention, to try to get you to make those drastic changes, right? It will challenge you, or rather challenge outdated belief systems, right? This happens to cause a breakthrough in your experience. And so, I feel like these things are being brought to your attention again in the energy, or with the energy of November, in order to create, or rather give you the opportunity to move on these things, to create changes, to really look at what has power over you, and to turn your focus there in order to create some of that deep healing. You also have leap. You go first, the universe will catch you. Yes, this is very much bringing forward for me energies of the Fool card. And I feel like this is taking that leap away from your past, away from fear, away from illusion, away from doubt. With the moon showing up in the card, I really do feel as though, again, this energy is asking you to move on, to move forward, to free yourself by taking that leap. I feel as though for some of you, you may not, how do I say this? Again, there's the energy of the only way out is through, and you may not know what is on the other side. Okay, you may only be able to see one step. And I feel like if that is true for you, it's because you're meant to be taking this one step and then stopping and waiting for what comes next. Trusting and having faith that the universe will catch you, trusting and having faith that you will be guided to whatever steps are meant to come next. It does feel to me, that again, there is a new beginning that's available to you, but you have to have faith. And I feel like the universe, God, source, again, whatever you call it, I call it God. God may be like, hey, I need to see that you have faith in yourself. So I'm not going to show you 2 steps ahead. I'm only going to show you the next step and wait to see what you do with it, right? This is what many of us would call like an initiation, or, a test of sorts. It's waiting to see if you can, again, trust yourself, if you can have faith in yourself, if you can choose what is going to be most in alignment with you. if you're going to move in that direction for yourself, right? And and I feel like the reason why this unfolds is because, how do I say this? It's for, there's a couple of voices is coming through. One is, you have to make space for new things to come in. If you're holding on to a bunch of things, it's very much like if you have a cup in this hand and a cup in this hand, and somebody tries to give you another drink, like, what are you going to do with it? Okay, your energy is very similar. And so, I feel as though there's that whole concept of, God's like, I need you to put this down so you can accept this other thing. But in order for me to even show you what the other thing is, I've got to see that you're going to put this thing down. Otherwise, this is not going to serve you. And I'm being reminded of a picture that I share in my membership group where we do daily readings. I've shared this a lot, actually, because it's come up a lot, where there's this drawing or artistic or artists, I don't know, something picture where it's a picture of Jesus, and he has this huge teddy bear behind his back, and in front of him is this young child who has a very small bear. You may have seen this floating around social media. And Jesus has his hand out. He's asking the child to give him that small bear, and the child is afraid to do that, right? Because the child's like, oh, you want me to give up my bear, but like, I love my bear, right? I want to keep it. And the child does not know or see that really big teddy bear that's like the size of the child behind Jesus's back, which is what Jesus is prepared to give should the child give up that smaller bear. Okay. And not that I'm approaching any of this from a religious necessarily perspective, but I feel like this is a very much, or rather is very similar to where you are, Gemini, right? Where Jesus is like Christ, God, universe, whatever you call it, has something beautiful, something bigger, better to give you, but you have to be willing to give up what you're holding on to first. You have here the song Moments Past by Dermot Kennedy. So the lyrics are, 'cause I loved ya, does that mean nothing to you now? 'Cause I loved ya, get me back on homely ground. She said, oh, I know that love is all about the wind, how it can hold me up and kill me in the end. Still, I loved it. Does that mean nothing to you now? And here's the thing. I really feel, Gemini, that this energy is showing up because it is speaking to that leap, taking that risk, right? Oftentimes it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I know that this may sound very cliche and is probably overused, but it is an energy of that, right? It's an energy of taking the risk, taking that leap, and enjoying the adventure, right? Enjoying the journey and being a little less focused on the destination, because it's through the journey you learn, it's through the journey you grow and evolve, that you become your most favorite version of yourself, right? If we stay in one place or we refuse to take that journey, we don't ever experience those challenges. We don't ever experience the things that can encourage us to grow. And, we kind of stagnate, and essentially, like, our spirit dies, right? And the destination for all of us, okay, is physical death. So why would we want to focus solely on that? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe you understand that as well. But, again, I feel like this energy is really speaking to you this month and encouraging you to take the risk to experience something completely different once you reach the other side. Okay? So what are you sacrificing, Gemini? Ooh, yeah, you have forge, don't follow, pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had. I feel like you're sacrificing, in some sense or another, control. You are sacrificing knowing, right? You have pave a new path, forge, don't follow, be the leader you wish you had. So I feel like you're sacrificing that sureness, right? Like I said, I feel like you can't see 2 steps ahead. I feel like you can only see like 1 step ahead. And so again, I feel like you're sacrificing that control. And this may be an incredibly challenging position for you to be in, right? Because I feel like Gemini, you know, a lot of your energy is, as an air sign, is, you know, being very intelligent and informed, right? And so it feels as though, I feel like there's a sense of like curiosity about what's possible, okay? But I feel as though surrendering to something that off the cuff doesn't seem logical is quite intimidating. Right. So I feel like what you're sacrificing is the knowing. What you're sacrificing is the control. What you're sacrificing is, you know, essentially putting trust and faith in God, source, universe, and not knowing what comes next. Okay. We have here for you 6 of Swords. Interesting in the reverse. This is an energy of so let me just say, I feel like what else you are also sacrificing resentment. You are also sacrificing things that you have held onto, that you have struggled to find forgiveness in, or that you may have needed to reconcile, right? So I feel like you're sacrificing things that you've held onto, baggage, we'll say. And it really does feel like, you know, leaving things behind. It really does feel like, you know, taking that leap without, again, without knowing. But it feels like leaping away from the past, leaping away from baggage you've been carrying, leaping away from maybe things you've experienced. You know, for some of us, we fear moving forward because we've taken certain risks previously and it didn't turn out the way that we really thought it would or expected it to. And I feel as though, oh, there's fear coming up. Excuse me. I feel as though that could be, again, where that sacrifice is coming in, because you don't know. And here's the thing I want to say, Gemini, if this is resonating with you, you know more now. You are wiser now. You have more experience. You have more knowledge. You have more wisdom. Okay? Even if you are in a position where you're being asked to move forward without knowing what comes next, trusting that what is on the other side you are equipped for. Because again, you know more now. You have more experience. You're not the same person you were when you know, previously. Interesting that you have 2 6s showing up as well. So you may be seeing these numbers, and if that is true for you, repeating 6s, I would say that there's definitely something here speaking to your healing, speaking to creating harmony, alignment, adjustment within self. There's certainly an energy that's speaking to the growth that is possible for you should you take in what is meant for you and utilize it. You have here play, have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. Yeah, again, like I said, I feel like you're sacrificing, you know, more of this very kind of informed energy. It's really, really fascinating. Okay, so this is coming in a lot of different ways. Again, let me come back to the first one I was talking about. I feel like you're sacrificing being serious, taking life so seriously. And I feel like maybe in the past you've done this. Okay, maybe you've taken life very seriously. Maybe you've made sure you've had all the information. Maybe you've, been very not informed, or you've, gathered a bunch of knowledge before making certain steps or taking certain steps, pardon me. Right? It feels like these things may have been very logical for you. And I feel like that's part of what some of you may be sacrificing, is to not take things so seriously. For others of you, I feel like, again, like I said earlier, there's this energy of maybe you focused on other people and other situations, things outside of yourself. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that, these things are bad or whatever. But it just feels like this is, how do I say this? Maybe you've, had a lot of social gatherings to go to, or maybe you've had a lot of friends who have asked you for help, or maybe your family has needed you more, whatever it is. Okay. It feel, but it feels more to me like I'm saying those things are possible, but it feels more to me like you've been, it feels like having fun, okay? But the way that it's coming through is like you've been kind of lax in your responsibility to yourself, your responsibility to your own healing and your growth. And I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing that. I'm not saying any of those things. It just feels like there's this energy of like the time for play is kind of over in a sense, right? It's more like, hey, focus on yourself. Like, let's put the work in now. Let's do what we need to do in order to move forward. So take it how it resonates, okay? But for some of you, it really is about seeing the adventure for what it is and not taking things so seriously, allowing yourself to have fun and to celebrate life as it comes to you, as you experience it. And again, I feel like this is a challenge for some of you, and it will feel like a sacrifice because it is scary. And then there are some, like I said, who may be sacrificing play, right? Where you have been giving time and energy and attention to external things and other people. And now it's like time to get to work, if you will, and focus a little bit more on yourself. Wow, that's really interesting. Really interesting energy to come through. You have here as well the great gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits, soul tribe. Yeah, like I said, for some of you, it really is sacrificing like being in a group or part of a group, or being more focused on, external things, right? Gatherings, like I said. Isn't that really weird how that happened? You may have been somebody who's, been to a lot of social gatherings or things like this. And again, now it's time to focus more inwardly, more on self. So I do feel like, again, that could be something that you're sacrificing, or you could also be sacrificing, again, the knowingness that things are planned, right? Like you could be sacrificing that whole control element, having like an itinerary, having a schedule, having a plan, knowing the steps, knowing the moves, right? I feel like that's what you could be sacrificing. And, again, with Soul Tribe, like I feel like there could be some people who maybe don't understand your kind of lack of attention on themselves. And I just want to say that if this is true for you, I feel like these individuals, and you'll know, okay? So don't go like making this your story if it isn't. But I feel as though for some of you, you will see that when you turn the focus on yourself, these individuals kind of lose it, right? Where they're like trying to guilt you or make you feel some type of way. And I feel like this is something where these are not your people and you're meant to be sacrificing that or giving that up because it's not serving you. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Do not make this your story if it isn't, because you do not want to create more healing for yourself than what you already have. Okay? So again, like this is not, I'm not sharing this information with you so that you can go saying like, oh, I saw in this reading and you're bad for me. No, that's not how this works. Trust your intuition. You have here the song Be As You Are by Mike Posner. There are moments when you fall to the ground, but you are stronger than you feel you are now. You don't always have to speak so loud. Just be as you are. It doesn't matter if you become some star. Life is better when you open your heart. You don't always have to act so hard. Just be as you are. Yeah, I mean, again, you guys, I know I'm going to sound repetitive, but this energy of just be as you are, like open your heart up and just be present in the moment and just move through life as it comes to you, I feel like is a difficult position for you to be in. Right? Well, like I feel like, again, there is an opportunity, which I think I said this. If not, I definitely thought it. There's an opportunity here for you to grow immensely, for you to experience new beginning, but for like massive growth to take place, I feel like there's massive trust in yourself that's needed. There's a massive initiative that's needed on your part, right? I feel like the universe has orchestrated things to support you in that, but you have to be willing. And I also, I feel like this is also speaking to the fact that you are stronger than what you realize. And maybe you will fall on your face, but it is the journey, it is the experience, it is living life with an open heart. It is just being what you feel you're supposed to be, trusting who you are, that really makes life worth living. So I feel like what you're sacrificing is not something little, okay? I definitely, feel like for you, it may very well feel very big, and very scary. But that does not mean that you are not capable or that things will not turn out in your favor. So, Gemini, how can you be of service? You have child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. I mean, come on. How can you be of service? Trust yourself. Trust yourself. I mean, you are, Gemini, you are, like everyone else, the physical embodiment of God. You are the physical embodiment of the cosmos. You are the physical embodiment of the angels. You are the physical embodiment of the earth. You have Christ within you. You do have the intelligence of the universe within you. You have access to that. And, I feel like there's this call for you to trust yourself as a child of the cosmos, as a child of God, as a child of the angels, as a child of Christ. I feel like this is how you can be of service, by living in your truth, by just be as you are. Okay? And by trusting that intelligence within you instead of needing to have a very structured plan. Now, I'm not by any means saying that having a plan is bad. I'm not saying that being informed is bad, okay? Or that it is useless, or these sorts of things. But I feel like there's a time for that, and there's a time to trust your intuition. There is a time to trust your inner knowingness, to trust your gut, to trust that divine wisdom is fed to you and through you, and to have faith, right? When a plan is needed, your intuition will guide you to that. You will feel this call like, oh, I better make plans. I better make arrangements. I better fill in the blank. But I don't feel that this is necessarily one of those times for you. Yeah, I mean, come on, you have portals, doors are open, you decide, rewards, wild card. How can you be of service? Trust yourself. Trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself. How can you be of service? Walk through the door, even if you don't know what's on the other side. And all of this, I feel you do while aligning with who you truly are. Beneath some of these, pardon me, wounds, traumas, programmings, things that you have taken on that, you maybe are working on healing. I feel like this is, and here's the thing, Gemini, a lot of energy that's been coming through this month is really like being of service by being yourself, which to me makes perfect freaking sense, because when you are in your truth, when you are in alignment with your soul's true essence, when you are authentic, okay, when you are not hiding underneath masks, when you are not moving from your wounding, from your trauma, right? When you're moving from love, when you're moving from discernment, when you're moving from like purity and truth, that is when you are likely to be of the most service to others. That's not to say that, God doesn't use us otherwise, because I feel like God does. Universe does, certainly. But the more connected you are to your truth, the more in alignment you are with that, the more fulfilled you are, the more happy you are, the less weight you're carrying. It's like you can be of greater service in those ways, because what you are sharing with other people, the light that you are sharing, is of those qualities, right? I hope that makes sense. Again, that's not to say that God doesn't use us all the time, because I feel like God does. But I just feel like it's like getting back to your truth. That's how you can be of most service to everyone, because then you're living in your truth. Other people see that, and in some way, even without your knowing, you give them permission to do the same. You show them that it is safe to do that. And I genuinely feel that where we are currently, this is something that is being encouraged strongly. Okay, like us living in our truth, right? Developing our capital I, our individuality, where we are not like doing things just because everyone else is doing them. I feel like this is incredibly important for us right now. So it's very interesting that this message is repetitive, especially in this universal 9-month, which brings us closer to nearing completion, right? Which brings us closer to a period of transition, a full-on end and the beginning of something else. Okay, we also have Two of Swords. How can you be of service? Yeah, choose. You're gonna have to make a choice. Choose the path less traveled. That's how I'm seeing this. Like, I'm literally seeing this Two of Swords as like a crossroads, where you can choose the path that you've chosen. You can choose the, path where where it goes. You can absolutely do that. You have free will. It is your choice. But I feel like you're being asked to choose the path that you don't necessarily know. This woman here is blindfolded, right? And I feel like this is, again, about trusting that intelligence within you, allowing that to guide you in the direction that you need to go. I do feel like this is going to be a difficult choice, because I do feel like it's uncomfortable, because it's unknown, it's unfamiliar. But I feel like if you don't choose, you're just going to stagnate. So, I feel like You know, how can you be of service? Choose. Choose. Don't just sit at the crossroads. Ooh, you have mirror. Who or what is triggering you? Yeah, so this is really fascinating because I was actually just talking about this recently in my channel. A lot, a lot of times, and I think I made when I shared this to my socials, um, I think I also made the connection there, right? Where oftentimes our pain is part of our purpose. Now, certainly it's not every single pain point, you know, often and you know, sometimes it's more significant, let's say, for others than, or for some rather than others. But I do feel like for some of you, some of this deep pain that you've experienced is part of your purpose. And so I feel like, how can you be of service? Well, what is it that triggers you? What is it that's a pain point for you? What is it that has brought up, you know, wounds and, or rather, where have you experienced wounds and traumas and all these things that you have, you know, moved through, overcome, that you've learned from, that you've evolved through? Because I feel like this is part of your, rather, this is how you can be of service, is by sharing your experiences, your wisdom, your knowledge with others. And this could be about a multitude of things, right? We each experience different types of pain. We've all had different experiences. You know, for some, maybe it's experiencing some kind of health problems you've overcome. Maybe it's experiencing some kind of abuse. Maybe it's maybe you've experienced a rough childhood, or you know, maybe what you were bullied, like whatever it is. I feel like those triggers can be utilized in a way that it can help others, right? Again, a lot of times we see our pain in this way of like how it's negatively impacted our lives, or you know, um, what it's caused us that maybe is not so pleasant. But I feel like oftentimes we lose sight of, or we don't acknowledge how that pain can be helpful to other people if we should share it, if we should find the courage to share it, to share our experiences. Okay, and I'm not saying that you're necessarily somebody who like wants to plaster your experiences all over YouTube, or, you know, anything like that. Like, this could simply be just you having a conversation with someone you know, or, you know, a stranger even perhaps. But it just feels like you can be of service by recognizing your pain and sharing it with someone who needs it, right? Sharing your ability to overcome it with someone who needs it. How did you do that? What helped you? What got you through, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you do have the song Panic Room by Aura as well. Welcome to the panic room, where all your darkest fears are going to come for you. Welcome to the panic room. You'll know I wasn't joking when you see them too. So again, I feel like part of how you can be of service is by recognizing and acknowledging fear, right? The things that have, again, maybe created some kind of pain for you, caused anxiety, right? That have brought about fear in you. I feel as though, you know, this is something which, again, it's like, you'll know I wasn't joking when you see them too. In other words, I can share with you my experiences with these pains, with these traumas, with these fears. I can share what I've went through. And when you experience them, or if you are experiencing them, you may know how to move through them differently because I have shared this with you, right? I hope that makes sense. Okay, so what advice will best support and serve you, Gemini, moving forward? You do have We the Hathors, Deep Love, Mother's Milk, Birth as a Portal. I mean, you have Portal already, So I feel like it is speaking to the opportunity that you have should you decide to nurture and love yourself for who you are. Should you decide to, and how to say, yeah, should you decide, pardon me, to see, how do I say this? There's an energy of nurturing, right? Um, and it feels as though some some of that comes from, again, this love for yourself, for trusting yourself, for just being who you are, right? And I feel like this is, how do I say, this could be a new or newer experience for you, right? Birth. And you have it here as a portal, because I feel like it's going to take you to a new world if you can trust yourself and have this deep reverence and deep love for yourself, the connection you have with yourself, and nurture that. Allow it to move you, right? I really hope that makes sense. You just had 50-55 on the timer. And so, fives are energies of change. They are energies of fluctuation, of movement, of adversity. So, I feel like this is something where I feel like you're moving into a space where things could potentially feel much different. Things may feel like they're changing at a very deep level. You may be nurturing these changes by moving with the energy versus resisting it. I do want to read from the guidebook for you. Hopefully this will give you even more information or knowledge to work with as you move through the month. And hopefully that will be helpful for you. So it does say, again, this is the advice that will best support and serve you moving forward. Birth is a portal that ushers in new life. The Hathors are here to remind you that you're a child of the cosmic mother, and you're being called to be held by her deep, never-ending love and embrace. This is a tender, nourishing card, reminding you to receive the deep, deep love of the mother's embrace. The Hathors know that the journey on Earth can be rocky and lonely at times, but you're being reminded to rest more deeply in the mother's arms. So I just want to pause for a moment. There's more here to read, but I just want to pause and say, right, you have this energy of leap, you go first, the universe will catch you. And now we're having this energy of, essentially resting in the mother's arms or being held by the mother's embrace. And I feel like that is speaking to, again, trusting that the universe will catch you. Okay. It goes on to say, this is a card of extreme potency, of femininity, of creation, and of birth. You're being called to mother yourself and others too, to surrender to your sacred femininity, to create and surrender to your own creations, to hold and to be held. You're being called to remember your place in the web of life and realize that the cosmic mother is watching you every step of the way. You may be going through a transition right now, moving from one way of being to another. If so, you're being reminded that you're cradled in a sacred container, that you're more held than you can possibly imagine, and you have access to more love than your heart can bear. If you're struggling in any way, you're being reassured that things will work out. Open yourself to receiving the overflowing love of the cosmic mother, flooding towards you from every direction. Let it stretch your heart. I mean, it's pretty much a beautifully wrapped little gift package of everything that we've been talking about, and I love that. You do have here the High Priestess in the reverse, and here's the thing. The High Priestess in the reverse is like repressing bits of yourself, losing yourself, um, being out of touch with yourself, or ignoring your intuition. And so again, I feel like the advice that's going to best serve you is to pay attention, right? Do not repress what you feel. Do not ignore your intuition, right? So here's the thing. I feel like in the past, and maybe you relate to this or, it resonates in some way, but I feel like in the past, maybe the decisions that you made, you may have ignored your intuition. And so things didn't work out the way that you thought or wanted them to, right? Or whatever, because you ignored your intuition. You may have moved on something when your intuition was like, stay still. And I really feel like this high priestess is being brought up in the reverse, because I feel like there's this energy of saying what's going to best serve and support you is trusting in the universe, trusting in your intuition, trusting in the cosmic consciousness or cosmic intelligence that lies within you. Because it's when you don't trust those things, I'm getting fear as well. Again, when you don't trust those things, that is when things go sideways. I mean, even if you want to take this very simply, I know, even in my own experience, 55 on the clock, that there have been times that my intuition was like, you should probably stay home, and I haven't, and something didn't go right. Okay? So I feel like this is some advice and, something that you might want to keep in mind as you're moving through the month. Yeah, look, no. Wait, postpone, pause, say no. So, again, I feel like your intuition is like, how do I say? If your intuition says no, then trust it. When it says yes, trust it. I also feel like part of this no energy is because, like I said, it feels like what you could be sacrificing is kind of stepping away from the energy that you've been putting into, social gatherings or other people or other situations outside of yourself. And I feel like you're meant to be postponing those things or holding off on those things to give yourself the time to go inward, to give yourself the time to nurture what you need to for your own growth, your own development, your own evolution, right? To create some boundaries. It's very, very interesting because there's this energy like of, trusting yourself. And if your intuition is like, no, don't do that, then don't do that. Okay? Of course, use your discernment, take what resonates with you. This is your story, not mine. But I feel as though, again, that advice is to wait, pause, right? Is your intuition saying take a step forward or not? Because if it's not, instead of trying to control the situation, control the outcome, right? It's like, just wait. Because there may be something that is waiting in the wings or on the sidelines for you that wants to come in, but it has to align with that divine timing, with that divine orchestration. And if you jump the gun, you're missing it. You have here the song The Bliss by Volbeat. Happiness, I'm sorry you've been on hold. The doors will be open. Bring it all home. Because what it is feels like a summer song. I'll stay here forever now that I remember. So this, I feel, is very much speaking to how you may have, in some sense, which no judgment, okay, we've all done it, but you may have in some sense sabotaged your own happiness or put your own happiness on hold or delayed things that could have brought more happiness into your experience, right? Because the door wasn't ready to be open yet. You were not meant to be moving on those things. And I feel like this is an energy of like the doors will be open when they're ready to be opened, when you're needing to be moving through them. And I do feel, I love this energy of I'll stay here forever now that I remember, because I do feel like there's something that is putting you in a position to trigger or awaken that deep sacred connection that you have with yourself or can have with yourself, should you learn to trust yourself and love yourself and move from that place. I know some of that text is hard to see. I apologize for the light kind of drowning it out. Wow, Gemini, what a reading for you this month. Again, it does seem like there is grand change on the horizon for you should you choose to trust yourself. But I feel like you've got to meet the universe halfway. And should you choose to do that, I feel like things could certainly be changing for you. And I hope that you do have the courage to focus, to do what needs to be done, and to trust yourself to do the work, the healing, to trust that you have everything you need within you. And if you trust it, you may bring forth an experience that is far more fulfilling for you. If something in this reading was valuable or helped you in some way, shape, or form, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, commenting below, or subscribing. It really does help the channel to grow. It tells YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else, and I am so incredibly grateful for you doing that. It also provides feedback for me, which is incredibly helpful for me and developing my own skills and talents. So I, again, greatly appreciate that. Have a beautiful month wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Thank you again so very much for being here. Take care of your healing, evolving, brave, courageous, trusting, lovable, and loving soul. Peace be with you and within you, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.